All right, let's dive into Luodong, Taiwan. We've got a really interesting mix of sources for this one.
Oh, yeah.
We do. English and Chinese text, visuals, and even some historical records. We're going to be focusing on the culture of this town.
Okay.
So, vibrant parades, hidden waterways, even echoes of the Japanese colonial period.
Sounds like a lot to unpack.
It is. There's a ton to cover.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think is super interesting is how all of these seemingly different elements come together to make up the Luodong of today.
It is. It's like piecing together a puzzle, really.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's start with something that just jumped out at me when I was reading the sources. The Holy Generals Parade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the descriptions alone, incredible, magnificent costumes, traditional weapons, these ornate palanquins. I can practically hear the drums and fireworks just reading about it.
It's a very visual spectacle, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's more than just a parade. This tradition dates back to the Qing dynasty.
Oh, wow.
And it was initially meant to ward off pirates and evil spirits.
Really? So it started as a practical, a defense thing.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, what began as a way to protect the community, right, transformed into this incredible celebration, this huge display of religious devotion. And now it's become a major tourist attraction.
Oh, wow.
Showcasing Taiwan's unique temple culture to the whole world.
It's so interesting how it's been able to adapt and stay relevant over time. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I think at its core, it's still about community, though.
For sure.
Whether it's seeking protection or showcasing their culture, it's something that brings people together.
Definitely. That sense of community is woven through, so much of Luodong's history.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of history, I think it's time that we take a look at Luodong's watery past.
Okay.
Specifically, the historical canals of Nanmen Port, which is sometimes called Nanmen Canal.
Okay.
And the Shiliufen Canal.
So I'm picturing bustling trade roads, people going about their daily lives on the water.
Yeah.
Maybe even a few dragon boat races. Am I close?
You're getting it.
Okay.
These canals were like lifelines for the community.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine relying on these canals for everything.
Yeah.
From transportation, trade, even getting your drinking water.
Wow.
And washing your clothes.
That was a completely different way of life.
It was. It was.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how something so essential can just vanish from the landscape.
Yeah, it really is.
Our source creators' parents actually share some really vivid memories of Nanmen Port.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did they use the canals themselves?
They did.
Wow.
Yeah. And those personal stories are so valuable.
Yeah.
To, help us piece together this whole picture of the past.
Uh-huh.
Our source creator used a mix of things like historical documents, cultural records, and these personal accounts to try and recreate this image of what Luodong's canals used to be.
Right.
There's even a local saying, Nanmen Port without a cover.
Nanmen Port without a cover.
What do you think that suggests about how important it was?
Well, to me, it sounds like it was just so central to daily life.
Yeah.
That the idea of covering it up was just
inconceivable.
Yeah, inconceivable. It was just there,
Yeah.
But like you said, ways of life change, landscapes change.
Totally.
And it's interesting how progress can sometimes lead to these unexpected consequences.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Take the covering of the Nanmen Canal, for example.
Okay.
Our sources actually pinpoint the years 1983 to 1985.
Okay.
As the period when this actually happened.
Okay.
It was a time of change.
Yeah.
A lot of growing concerns about pollution.
Right.
Traffic issues.
Yeah.
New urban development plans.
Yeah, I can definitely see how all those factors would lead to that decision.
Right.
But even if those changes were necessary, wouldn't you say that there was also a sense of loss?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It must have felt bittersweet to
Yeah.
see such a unique part of Luodong's history just disappear.
Totally. Progress often comes with these difficult choices.
Yeah.
And the need to balance, development with preservation.
Yeah.
Is something that so many communities have to grapple with.
Yeah.
And this instance in Luodong is a powerful example of that tension.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of unique places,
Yeah.
I'm curious about the prominent temples in Luodong.
Okay.
We've got the Qing'an Temple, Beicheng Temple, Feud Temple. These seem to be like more than just sites of worship, wouldn't you say?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, temples often function as like the heart of a community where people gather, you know, not just for religious purposes, but also for social events, support, connection.
For sure.
You know, they play a really vital role in like fostering that social cohesion.
Yeah, totally. But I did find something interesting in the sources.
Oh, yeah?
During the Japanese colonial period.
Okay.
When, you know, they placed restrictions on a lot of other Taoist temples. They actually permitted the construction of temples that were dedicated to Kaksinga.
Interesting.
Why do you think that was?
That is fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Because remember, Kaksinga was a Ming Dynasty figure who, you know, resisted the very rule that the Japanese were imposing.
Right.
So why allow these temples dedicated to him?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was a strategic move.
Okay.
To try and appease the local population. Or maybe there was even this, like, grudging admiration for his resistance against the Manchu Qing dynasty.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason was, it really shows how complex colonial rule can be. And the oftentimes, like, surprising ways that power dynamics play out.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It definitely adds another layer to understanding that period of history.
Totally.
Now, ready for a little bit of change of pace?
Yeah, sure.
Let's step into the world of entertainment.
Okay.
And explore the what some call golden age of movie theaters in Luodong.
Cool.
The sources mention names like Lanyang, Dadong, Lingong Zijia, Dagwangming.
Oh, okay.
Just makes you want to go back in time and experience that era firsthand.
I know, just imagine, like, queues of people eager to catch the latest Taiwanese, Hong Kong, or even Western films.
Yeah.
It must have been such a, like, vibrant part of the social scene back then.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's something that stands out to me. Like, there's something special about that that shared experience.
Total.
You know, that sense of community you get from watching a film together in a packed theater.
For sure. And we're so lucky that our source creator actually gave us their own personal memories.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Of going to these theaters with their parents. Like, they even describe, like, the aromas, the sounds, the anticipation.
It's like a sensory journey back in time.
It is. It is.
Really makes you appreciate how much the way we experience entertainment has changed.
It's true. But haven't we lost something in that shift?
Totally.
From, like, communal spaces to, you know, individual screens?
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that culture is always evolving.
Yeah.
Right? And while those traditional cinemas might have declined, like, the love for film hasn't disappeared.
Yeah.
The sources even mention efforts to preserve film culture through things like local film festivals, which is really encouraging. It shows that, like, that spirit
of storytelling and shared experiences is still alive and well.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that even as things change, there's always this desire to, like, hold on to those elements that connect us to our past.
For sure.
And to each other.
And to each other.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
Parades, canals, temples.
Yeah.
Even movie theaters. Yeah. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of Luodong's rich history.
There's so much more to uncover.
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of amazing how all these, like, separate pieces, the parades, the canals, the temples, even the movie theaters all fit together to tell this story of Luodong.
Yeah.
It's like each one of them, like, shows us a different side of the town.
I think you've got it. It's not just, you know, listing off a bunch of historical facts.
Right.
It's about understanding how a community evolves, how it adapts to change, while also, you know, keeping its identity.
Totally.
I mean, Luodong's journey is, like, a perfect example.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we're not just exploring Luodong.
Yeah.
We're also exploring, like, these bigger ideas about change, the tension between progress and preservation.
Totally.
The need to understand how everything is connected, you know?
That's a lot.
It is.
It is, but in a good way.
Yeah.
That's kind of the beauty of a deep dive, right? It's all about challenging our assumptions, making those connections, and trying to see the bigger picture.
Okay, so big picture time.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important takeaway from all these sources, like, about Luodong's past?
What ties it all together?
Yeah, what ties it all together?
I think for me,
Yeah.
it's this idea of memory.
Oh.
How a community decides to remember its past. How it chooses to, preserve its heritage, and how it, uses those memories to look toward the future.
Yeah.
That, to me, that's the essence of Luodong's story.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's not just about official records or these grand monuments. It's about those personal memories, like those everyday experiences that really make up a community's identity.
For sure.
Speaking of which, our sources mention the decline of water transport, but they also mention the Dongshan River.
Yeah.
How did all of these rivers and canals connect?
That's a great question. So the Dongshan River was a big part of the larger waterway system in Yilan.
Okay.
And the Shiliufen Canal.
Yeah.
Which, remember, branched off from the Nanmen Canal. It actually connected to the Dongshan River.
Oh, wow.
And from there, it flowed into the Lanyang River.
Okay.
And then finally out to the Pacific Ocean.
Wow. So it was
this intricate network.
Yeah.
It connected communities and helped facilitate trade all the way from the mountains to the sea.
So it's like this whole circulatory system for the region.
It was. It really puts the covering of the Nanmen Canal into perspective, right?
Really? Yeah.
It wasn't just, closing off a single waterway. It was like severing a vital artery in that system.
It really makes you think about those unintended consequences,
Right.
Sometimes we try to solve one problem and we accidentally create other ones.
Totally.
Yeah, it really shows how important it is to understand the past, like those connections.
Those ripple effects.
Yeah, to make better decisions about the future.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
About how communities adapt to change.
Yeah.
Our sources highlighted the shift from, relying on canals for transportation to temples becoming social hubs.
Right.
Do you think that one directly influenced the other?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a plausible connection.
Yeah.
As waterways became less central.
Yeah.
Maybe community life shifted to other places.
Right.
And temples could have filled that void. Becoming even more important for social gatherings and community support.
Right. And sometimes those adaptations, they happen naturally.
They do.
Yeah, we don't even realize it's happening.
Yeah, totally.
So we've talked about canals, temples, even movie theaters.
Right.
But our sources also mention that before the Han settlers arrived, the land was inhabited by the Kabalan people. What can you tell us about that period of Luodong's history?
Oh, that's a crucial part of the story that often gets, overlooked.
Yeah, for sure.
The name Luodong actually comes from the Kabalan word Patonkin.
Patonkin.
Which means a place where monkeys gather.
Really?
Imagine it. Dense forests.
Yeah.
Abundant wildlife.
Wow.
A very, very different landscape from, the urban environment that we see today.
It's crazy to think about all those layers of history,
It is.
It's just present in one place.
It is, and it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
What traces of that indigenous past still remain?
Yeah, are there stories or traditions or even places that kind of echo that earlier era?
That's a question worth exploring.
Yeah.
It really highlights this challenge that we often face when we're piecing together history.
Yeah.
Whose voices get amplified?
Yeah.
Whose stories actually get told?
Right.
And whose memories are preserved?
That's a really important point.
It is.
It's easy to forget that history is often written from the perspective of those in power.
Absolutely.
And marginalized communities like indigenous populations.
Yeah.
Often their stories are silenced or overlooked.
They are.
And it's really up to us to seek out those missing voices and to make sure that the tapestry of history is woven from the threads of all communities.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Okay, so moving from the past to the present.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something that's always been a vibrant part of Luodong's culture.
Okay.
The traditional markets.
Oh, yeah.
The sources mention several: Minsheng, Nangguan, Beiguan, Kaiyuan, each one with its own unique character and energy.
You make it sound so lively,
right.
I want to just go there right now.
Totally, yeah.
I think traditional markets are such a like a glimpse into the soul of a community.
For sure. Yeah.
They're not just places to buy and sell stuff.
Yeah.
They're social hubs.
Right.
Places where people can connect, share stories.
Yeah.
Experience the pulse of their community.
Yeah, for sure. You've got like fresh produce, local specialties, street food vendors.
It's a sensory feast.
Yeah, totally. And it's a good reminder, you know, that commerce, even in its like most traditional form, it's about more than just like transactions.
Right.
It's about connecting with your community, sharing experiences, and supporting local businesses.
Absolutely. Those bustling markets are like a testament to Luodong's like enduring spirit, its resilience, its adaptability, and its ability to embrace change while also honoring its past. It's a remarkable blend.
Totally. So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into Luodong, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with?
What's the essence of this town? You know, as we've learned from all these sources, I think Luodong's story reminds us that history is alive. You know, it's constantly evolving and revealing itself in these like unexpected ways.
Totally.
It's a tapestry woven from, indigenous roots, colonial influences, economic shifts, and the enduring spirit of its people.
For sure.
It's a testament to, the power of memory. The importance of preserving that cultural heritage and this like ever-present tension between progress and tradition.
Yeah, beautifully said. And, like our source creator put it, history is right here on our own land. And history is alive.
So true.
So, we encourage you to explore those hidden histories in your own community. Look for those traces of the past, those echoes of those forgotten stories, those connections that reveal the tapestry of your town's journey through time.
I love it.
The journey starts with curiosity.
It does.
And who knows what treasures you might uncover.
Who knows?
As we've been talking about Luodong's history, I keep thinking about how much has changed over time.
Right.
But there's one thing that seems to have stayed pretty constant.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? The presence of religion and spirituality? We've talked about the temples, but our sources also mention all of these religious statues and shrines that are like all over the town. What role do you think those play in everyday life for people?
That's a great question. Those religious elements aren't just confined to the temples. They're like woven into the very fabric of the town.
Okay.
Think about it. You're walking to work. You might pass by a small earth god shrine.
Right.
Or you see an image of Guanyin.
Okay.
The Bodhisattva of compassion in a local shop.
Yeah.
They're like these visual reminders, right? Of faith. That are just constantly there. Offering a sense of comfort, protection, and connection to something bigger than themselves.
It's like these spiritual touch points are just like embedded in the landscape.
They are.
It's like a hidden layer of meaning.
Now,
speaking of hidden layers, our sources also talk about the impact
of the Japanese colonial period on Luodong's religious landscape.
Okay.
Didn't they try to suppress some of the folk beliefs and practices?
They did, the Japanese government, as part of their efforts to assimilate Taiwan, implemented policies to try and promote Shintoism. And discourage certain traditional Chinese beliefs and practices.
So, it wasn't a super straightforward process.
No, cultural assimilation is rarely straightforward. People find ways to, resist, adapt, preserve their traditions, even if it's in very, very subtle ways.
It's like what we were talking about earlier with the temples that were dedicated to Koxinga.
Exactly.
Even though there were restrictions on other Taoist temples.
It's like even when they were being suppressed, those threads of faith and tradition, they found a way to live on.
They found a way.
Yeah.
Do you think that resilience
is seen in other parts of Luodong's culture too?
Absolutely. Take the local cuisine, for example.
Okay.
Luodong is known for its very unique food traditions.
Right.
Which blend indigenous ingredients with Chinese and even some Japanese influences.
Wow, that's so cool.
It's this fusion of flavors that really reflects the town's history and its ability to, like, absorb and adapt to all these different cultural elements, but, you know, without losing its own identity.
It's like culinary tapestry.
It is.
Yeah, all those different threads representing different parts of Luodong's past.
Makes me hungry.
Me too.
Yeah.
But before we totally get sidetracked by food,
Yeah.
I want to touch on something that's been a big theme in our deep dive today.
Sure.
This idea of change.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen how Luodong has dealt with everything from colonial rule to economic shifts to urban development. What do you think the future holds for this town?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You know, Luodong, like any other community, will continue to change.
Right.
But I think its past can teach us a lot about its future.
Yeah.
The town's ability to adapt, to embrace new ideas.
Right.
While also honoring its traditions.
Yeah.
Its resilience when faced with challenges.
Yeah.
Its deep sense of community. You know?
Yeah.
These are all qualities that will serve it well.
Yeah.
As it faces whatever the 21st century throws at it.
Yeah, I agree. It's really encouraging to see, you know, how those threads of history, culture, and community are all so tightly interwoven.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that even as things change, there's a continuity there.
Totally.
Like a spirit that connects us to the past, present, and future.
I love that. That brings us to the end of our deep dive.
It does.
Into Luodong, Taiwan.
I hope you enjoyed coming along with us on this journey.
Me too.
We've explored so much, from parades and waterways to temples, movie theaters.
Yeah, even that delicious local food.
All those flavors.
Yeah, we've uncovered so many layers of history.
It's been quite a journey.
And gained a much deeper understanding of this amazing town.
I think so.
And as always,
the
journey doesn't stop here.
It doesn't.
We encourage you to keep exploring, to keep asking those questions, keep discovering those hidden histories all around you.
Who knows what you'll find?
Exactly what fascinating stories might be hiding right in your own community.